Are you ready for me to start?
Yes, you're ready to take it away.
Excellent. Good afternoon. My name is Esther, E-S-T-H-E-R, Sorrell, S-O-R-R-E-L-L. I'm the Assistant Commissioner with the City of Chicago Department of Housing in the Multifamily Finance Division. I'm happy to be talking to you today about the preservation of existing affordable rentals, or the PEAR program. This initiative is designed to preserve decent, safe, and sanitary housing in appreciating neighborhoods. The purpose and goals of the program is to be used as a refinancing tool that provides low interest loans to owners of properties of 6 or more units in appreciating neighborhoods. And I'll talk about what and where those neighborhoods are a little bit later. But what our intent is to incentivize the preservation of naturally occurring affordable housing in appreciating areas. We want to be able to maintain the existing tenants that live in those units and have them remain affordable to those families for the near and long term. We want to make sure those properties remain financially and physically healthy. Here's a map of what we've decided are appreciating neighborhoods in the city of Chicago. I can break that down on how we determine those neighborhoods. Those neighborhoods are those where year over year market rental increases outpace those. They outpace those rents in other buildings that would be determined as affordable. Those areas that are identified as opportunity areas by the Illinois Housing Development Authority, or those areas determined as mobility areas by the Chicago Housing Authority. Areas where private market rents exceeded affordable rents are also included. Program goals are centered primarily around the Bronzeville, Woodlawn, Pilsen, and Little Village areas, but there are other areas of the city that the department is considering as well. I'd like to talk about the eligibility requirements and who can receive PEAR financing. The owners who would be eligible for the program are those owners of projects, buildings that either exceed 6 units or have a combined total of at least 6 units over multiple properties. So an owner can have either one building that's 6 units or more, so 6 units, 12 units, 24 units, or they can have, for example, 3 2-flats. Those would also qualify, but the 3 2-flats must be in the same area within a mile of each other. To enter into the program, the owner would have to already have ownership or site control of the buildings, and would be agreeing to keep at least a certain percent of those units as affordable rentals to households earning less than 80% of area median income, for example, less than $75,000 for a family of 4. And the owner would be keeping those units affordable for the duration of the loan term, and that would be at least 30 years. These funds are loan funds, and the funds are designed to reduce the private debt that's currently on the property. So if an owner acquires a property for the purpose of rehabilitation, these funds would be used to refinance the senior private debt or construction loan that's already in existence. These funds would not be used for acquisition. So again, the properties must currently be under site control of the ownership entity. 20% of the units must be affordable to households earning between 60 and 80 or less than 80% of area median income. They have to remain affordable for a period of 30 years. And all rehab work must be done prior to implementation of the program. Here's a slide of how our funding works. We have an application that's available on the Department of Housing website at the City of Chicago website. We accept applications year round. There is an application fee. It's lower for not-for-profit entities and community-based partners. There are monitoring and compliance expectations in that we expect that the owner would prove up to the department that they are renting those restricted units to families that income qualify. And that would be done on an annual basis. The loan that would be offered generally would be about somewhere in the range of $100,000 per unit that's accepted into the program, although it's on a case-by-case basis and it's determined at the time of underwriting. Again, the term would be for a 30-year term. This is a loan and it would be expected to be repaid. So one of the questions might be, well, what exactly is the reason why I should be interested in this program? And it's because we have, interest rates that are more competitive than the market, even though interest rates are at historical lows right now. We can go down on our loan product as low as 0% interest. So a no interest loan would allow for a considerable reduction in the private debt. So therefore, an owner would be writing down rents in order to be eligible for the property that would allow those rents to remain affordable in the long term. So here's some final points, and some I've made before. This is a refinancing and a loan reduction program. The owner must already have private permanent financing in place. The buildings must contain at least 6 units, of which we would expect to have at least 20%. So if you have a building with 10 units, we would expect to have at least 2 units in the program. The loan is expected to be repaid over after a 30-year term, and renters cannot earn more than 80% of area median income. I'm happy to take any questions that you might have at this time. And I'll turn it back over to Erin, who can facilitate and moderate those questions.
All right. Thank you, Esther, for that presentation. So if you can use the raised hand feature at the bottom of the screen, it is a hand that kind of looks like this, next to shared screen and pause, stop, next to shared screen. If you can push that button to raise your hand, and I will click on you and then unmute you so you can ask your question. So I see that there's already a hand up, and so I'll unmute you in one moment, and then feel free to ask your question. Okay.
Hi, thanks. My question is, can you give an example of how you would set the rents based on the 80% area median income? Like just how you determine that rental amount?
Sure, the rent would be predetermined by the Department of Housing. And we do have a chart, a rental chart on our website that would tell you exactly what the rents would be. And at the time of application, your program manager would go over those rents with you. Maybe Aaron could pull that chart up on screen and share that, but we can determine beforehand exactly what those rents will be. And it's not based off of a formula or anything. These are rents that are determined actually by HUD. So these are federal required rents for the area.
I see. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm sharing the screen of the rents chart on our website, and I'll put this in the chat box as well. It's a little difficult to see, but at 80% area median income and a low-rise duplex row home, for a 2-bedroom, the rent is around, looks like around $1,600. Yep, okay, sorry, 80% for a 2-bedroom, yeah, around $1,678.
One thing I'd like to mention is the deeper the affordability. For example, if an owner were to decide that they would be willing to keep the rents affordable to households at 60% of area median income, we would offer a larger loan. So that would be an even larger reduction in the higher interest debt on the senior mortgage. So we would offer more funds for deeper affordability. Laura, did you have another question? Oh, okay.
Okay, Laura, if you don't have any other questions, I'll move on to the next person, or I can ask you to unmute. Okay, great. Okay, Alex, feel free to ask your question.
Hi there. Yeah, my question is, how much money has the city allocated for the loan fund? Is there a limit that the city has? That's my main question.
It's due to an annual allocation. The funds that were allocated for 2021 was approximately $2 million. I do not know what has been budgeted for 2022. I won't know until the city's budget comes out. But I would expect it would be around the same area.
Excellent. If I could steal more time, is there a city expectation on how many they would like to help? Is there like a goal number of 50 loans? Is it 20 loans? Is it 4? Like, does the city have an expectation, or as much as depending on applications? Or
we'd like to help as many as we can. We're hoping with the outreach that we're doing, we'll get more owners interested in the program, and hopefully, we'll garner more units. So we're also hoping that owners would be willing to go above and beyond the minimal 20% of the units. So in that same 10-unit building, if instead of 2 units, an owner would offer us 5 units, we would be able to offer, even more subsidy. So we don't necessarily have a limit or a particular goal that we want to reach. We would just like to reach as many as we can with the funds that are available.
thank you, Esther, so much.
Absolutely.
I see another Alex Ruiz has a question, so I will allow you to speak.
Hi, my question is, can you aside from what you already owe on the building or the mortgage that you have, can you get additional funds?
We would only go up to the amount of loan that is currently on the building. If you're contemplating taking out refinancing or taking out additional funds to do repairs, we would want that to be completed first and then enter to the program. But if you have $100,000 mortgage, and I'm just using that number as example, we would only lend up to $100,000.
Thank you. All right.
But also, if I could extend that example a little bit further, if you have a loan, currently have a loan for $100,000 and you want to do $150,000, if you want to do $50,000 worth of work, you would have to secure those additional funds by either refinancing your current private debt or getting additional private debt to do that work first before entering into the program.
I understand. Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions anyone may have? Go ahead, Alex.
My other question would be, how much is this application fee?
The application fee is $750 for not-for-profit entities and $1,500 for for-profit entities. It's our standard application fee for multifamily funds at the City of Chicago.
Also, what requirements or what, let's say, condition of property, how is that determined whether it's qualified for this program?
Well, the program assumes that any housing quality standards or any deficiencies are addressed prior to application into the program. So, we could interact with our construction and compliance division to do an assessment of the property. But an owner may wish to do that on their own because any work that's required to bring the building up to housing quality standards must be completed before application to the program. This is not an acquisition or a repair program. This is solely a refinancing program.
I understand that. That's good.
Yeah, so we
for
would,
example, are all rented. They're clean, they're painted, they're habitable to the full extent. I was just wondering if there's like some other building besides the regular building code, if there's another set of rules, for example, like FHA purchase rules or anything of that effect, something that, is not normally done.
we didn't contemplate that being a part of the program. We, again, would liaise with our construction and compliance division to ensure that the property is in good physical condition and will be able to remain so for the term of the loan. If repairs are required, we would have the construction and compliance division inform the owner of what's necessary prior to the inception of the loan, so they can take care of that, so they won't run into any issues with the financing.
And this compliance division, they come out after you pay an application, or will they preview it prior to you dropping $1,500?
I believe you would have to at least have, been an entrant into the program. But that's a great question. No one actually has asked the question that way before. So I'll certainly, determine that, and possibly can get an answer to you. If you'd like to leave your email address in the chat, I'll get back to you with an answer on that.
I will do. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Thank you. Looks like Juan has a question, so I will allow you to speak.
Hello, Juan.
Hey, how are you?
Okay.
I got in a little bit late into the meeting, but I mean, I have a 4-unit apartment, but I still owe, I mean, quite a month on that building, but is it 4 or you said, I think I heard the last thing I heard was 6 units, it needs to be 6 units, because I mean,
Yes, you have to have at least 6 units under ownership to be a participant in the program. So for example, if you had that particular 4-unit, you could have another 2-unit building besides, but you need at least a minimum of 6 units to participate.
okay. How about, let's say my dad has this house, would that be considered or no?
It would have to be all under one ownership entity. So if you and your dad own all of those buildings together, that would be a possibility. But if you own one and he owned another, that still would not qualify. It has to be at least 6 units under one common ownership.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Did anyone have any question about tenant requirements or income restrictions?
Actually, I do have a question about income restriction, as well as, can we use an example if, for example, in the 6-unit, I have, the current tenants are paying $1,200, and now with this program, if we're going to keep it affordable, does that qualify, or would we have to lower the rent to qualify, or higher? If we could use it, I'm just throwing out an example for that, and if we could go over one, that'd be excellent.
That's a great question. Aaron, if you could go back to the chart.
1 moment, please. Okay, can you all see my screen?
No.
How about now?
Yes.
Great, great.
So if you have can you scroll down a little bit, Aaron?
Scroll down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If you have a low-rise building, and say you have a 2-bedroom apartment at 80%, you're already under that rent. But rents go up every year. What if that turns into 2,000, and you want to keep that rent affordable at $1,200 a unit? We would be able to reduce your mortgage to a point where that $1,200 a month remains viable for the entire 30-year term. But if you're willing to commit to a 60% AMI level, which is 1,203 for the long term, we could even offer you even larger subsidy in order to maintain that $1,200 price point over the term. Now, that doesn't mean that you would never be able to increase your rents. We would limit your rental increases to 2% per year, which comes out to be about, on a $1,200 rent, about $25 a month. So again, you still would be able to have rental increases, but you would have to report to the city of Chicago that you're going to ask for a rental increase, and we would have to approve that. Also, if you have a tenant with a voucher, they could not be in that same unit because we're trying to increase affordability above and beyond what's offered by and supported by CHA. So you couldn't like double layer the subsidy on one particular unit. You could still have your voucher holders in other units, but these would be remaining for people who are paying cash.
And Laura, you can feel free to unmute yourself.
Thanks. I was going to ask about the income verification, you know, how you do that, and what happens if that same tenant, you know, their income increases over time. How does that affect the program?
Sure, we do have a monitoring and compliance division who would be able to walk you through all of that. And that's their expertise. I'm on the financing side, but I can tell you that we try to make the reporting barriers as low as possible. So there is a series of forms that they would walk you through and that you would be filling out to report their the tenant's income and what the rent roll is. If a tenant happens to increase out, we allow these units to float. So the next family that would move into the building, you know, could take one of those, you know, lower rent units.
Does that family have to move out? You know,
They don't have, no, they do not have to move out.
Okay.
But for example, if another family moves out, then the next family that moves in would need to income qualify in order to remain in the program.
I see. Okay.
If there will be a default provision that if, you know, you just neglect the program requirements, we would, you know, require that you begin repayment of the loan. So that's why, you know, talk with your tax accountant, talk with your attorney, make sure that this is a right choice for you before applying to the program.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Aaron, any questions from the chat that we missed?
Alex, I don't know how to distinguish between the two Alexes, but Alex put a comment in there, but I think it's more so to do about the application fee statement. I don't see any other questions though in the chat.
Okay. Well, my name again is Esther Sorrell.
Actually, one person just raised their hand. So hold on, let me give them the ability to speak. Okay, Carlos, go ahead. You're able to unmute yourself and speak.
Hello, good afternoon. You hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So once we apply and we're accepted the program, how are we getting the tenants? Are we?
Well, you can either have the tenants that you already have in place, or you would go about your normal marketing process. It's not like you would have to draw from a list. It's just that your tenants would have to income qualify. So
Is there a list available?
no,
If
we don't. We don't maintain a list, but whatever your normal marketing procedures are, however, you know, it could be as simple as placing an ad or, you know, putting a notice in the apartment window, whatever your normal process is for acquiring tenants for your buildings would normally apply. But the tenants would still have to, you know, income qualify for the program. Very often this program is used to support existing tenants to make sure that they are not placed out of their building or their current living situation due to increases in rent.
Okay. Got it. Thank you. I have one more question, follow up on that. I heard Vulture. Is that something that's another application, or is this included in this application?
I'm sorry.
So you said vultures, like a form that the tenant will have?
Oh, the vouchers. I mean,
Vouchers,
oh, what I'm saying is if a prospective tenant already comes to you and they already have housing choice vouchers that they've already received from CHA, you could accept them, but not for the program units.
Okay. So how about if they don't have any, the existing tenants don't have vouchers? Would they have to apply for that?
Yeah, they would, if they don't have it and need it, they would have to apply on their own. It would not be through this program.
And they will qualify to be in the program.
They would qualify, as they are, as long as they, are earning less than what the program requirements are. These are people who would be paying out of pocket for their rent. So, for example, if they're currently paying $1,200 a month, this program will ensure that they can continue paying $1,200 a month with reasonable rental increases over the long term, and are not subject to, the market increases where they're seeing their rents go up $100, $200 every single year. That's what this program does. It protects affordable housing for current tenants in rapidly gentrifying areas. So we know that areas such as Pilsen, Little Village, Woodlawn, Bronzeville are rapidly increasing when, their rents have historically remained low and affordable just as a matter of general principle. But now that these are hot markets, rents are increasing, exponentially, greater than 6% a year, greater than 10% a year, when your average household can only afford a rental increase of maybe about 2% a year or $20 a year. So, we're trying to make sure that if a family can afford $1,200 a month in rent, they're not all of a sudden in 2 years facing a $1,600 a month rent. That's what this program is for.
All right, thank you. Thank you for clearing that up. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I try to talk from a script, but when I can just talk about it freely and tell you what my thoughts are, I feel like that's just a better way for me to communicate. I hope that's okay with you.
I guess if I can ask a question, Esther. So in the example, the $1,200 rent one, if a building owner has tenants that are paying $1,200, are they already, and they're accepted into the program, are they accepted at the 60% AMI, or can they agree to being at the 80% AMI, seeing how the rents are a $400 difference?
Well, it would depend on their actual income. So, it's one thing for a family to be at 60% now, and what if they have a windfall, someone gets a great job, someone graduates from college and gets a great job, does that mean they have to move? It doesn't mean that they have to move. If the owner agrees to allow a tenant to go up to 80% of area median income, then that's great, they can stay. It really, almost is up to the owner what they're willing to do and how far they're willing to go into the program. How much funding do they need to reduce their mortgage amount? So there's a lot of factors that can come into play, and there's not going to be like a set of rules for each and every development and owner, it's going to be on a case-by-case basis, and what works for each and every owner might be different. So it's going to be helpful for an owner to, know who their families are, know what their current rental situation is, and decide whether or not the program is even right for them. Because, a 30-year loan and a 30-year rental restriction, that can be a long time. So, for anyone that's interested in the program, I invite them to, we can talk further, but make sure that the program is indeed going to be right for you, and right for, whatever your business plan is. Are you planning on holding the building for long term? Do you plan on passing that building down to your heirs? That's something to consider on how, your decision today will affect your business plan 30 years from now. So these are all considerations.
Okay, thank you. So I don't see any other questions in the chat, or I don't see any other hands raised. What we will do is, again, we recorded this meeting, and we'll send that out with the slides from this meeting and the Spanish slides as well. Feel free, though, to share this information with any other building owners in Pilsen and Little Village. This will be great information to share with people. And we, want to make sure that people know about this program throughout the communities. But I do appreciate you all taking the time. And looks like Esther put her email address into the chat. So feel free to send questions to her if you have about this. And when I send out the slides, it'll probably be early next week, because I will make sure to include the links for the rent chart, the AMI chart, as well as the application for multifamily, so that you can look at that information as well. Well, I appreciate you all.
Thank you for hosting, Aaron. We appreciate you.
And I want to thank our interpreters, Alan and Luis, who were here and making sure that our presentation is accessible. So thank you both for being here with us.
Thank you.
Great. Have a great rest of your day, all. Bye.